What's going on YouTube? It's your boy Seth the Lawn Surgeon, and I am back for another Tipsy Talk. Today I am going to be talking about an incident that happened with the rapper DaBaby. If you're not familiar with DaBaby, he's a rapper, and a week or so ago he had a kid try to sell him a box of candy for $200, and the box of candy is probably only worth $68. So I thought this was a beautiful segue into overpricing people who have a lot of money. A lot of us think, oh, this person has a lot of money, I could charge them a lot. Not so fast. Because I don't think that way. I think you should be fair to all people, you know? And also, you already know what time it is. Tipsy Talk. Alright people, I'm gonna give y'all a little bit more detail into the DaBaby situation. For those of you who are not familiar with the DaBaby situation, I'm not gonna put the clip up here because I don't know if it's copyrighted and it'll mess up my monetization. But I'll tell y'all about it. Y'all can Google DaBaby candy and it'll probably come up. So DaBaby's a rapper. He was in New York and he saw some kids on the street selling candy. So he went up to him, you know, of course, if you're not familiar with DaBaby, he has a lot of money. Asked him how much for the whole box of candy. He asked him for one or two pieces. He said, how much for the whole box? He probably was gonna give him $100, tell him keep the change or whatnot, maybe more. So immediately this kid says, oh, it's $200 for the whole box. And DaBaby was like, wait a minute, antennas start going up, you know. He's like, well, how much is each piece of candy? He's like, oh, $2. And he's like, well, how many pieces of candy is in the box? 34. He's like, well, that's $68. That's not even $100. He said, you know what? Here's $2, give me one piece of candy. You know, I was gonna bless you, but since he tried to finesse him or hustle him, he's like, you know. And so it was a big discussion about this, you know, like a week or so ago, and people was like, oh, well, he should, DaBaby got the money and he should have gave him this and that, and it was a discussion. People felt like because he had the money, it was fair for that kid to charge him over the regular price. And I say, this is a perfect Tipsy Talk topic. A lot of people ask me about estimates and stuff, and I think I'm gonna go down a rabbit hole on this one. I've talked about estimating and stuff like that, but I think I'm gonna talk about, you know, charging people who got a lot of money and nice houses too much. I'm gonna talk about people trying to charge me too less because of the area or get a cheaper price. What else I'm gonna talk about? I'm talking about a whole bunch of stuff. But first I'm gonna talk about estimating, right? A lot of people always, one thing that irks me, when people estimate by square footage. The only time you should estimate by square footage for me If you're doing hardscape, making a patio, if you're doing mulch, or if you're doing like a gravel driveway or any type of landscaping activity. If you do cutting grass, you don't need square footage. The reason why, you can have two people side by side, both their yards is the same exact square footage. But when you, but one person's yard might be flat, plain land. You could cut it in like 20 minutes, trim it in 10, blow it in 35 minutes, you out of there. The other person's yard, they might have a flower bed in the middle of the yard, a couple of trees in the backyard, you got a weed around. So now, that's more time it takes you to cut around these things. More time it takes you to weed around these things. So that person's yard might take you upwards to 50 minutes, maybe even an hour. But they're both the same square footage. Matter of fact, the customer with all the flower beds is technically less square footage because some of that square footage is taken up by flower beds. You get what I'm saying? And so for you to go by square footage, you know, and like say I tell this one customer, I'm charging you $50 because your yard is such and such square footage. And in the next person's yard is the same square footage, but you charging him $65 because he got flower beds and extra stuff. How do you justify that? How do you, when that one customer tells him, hey, he only charging me $50, I don't know why he charging you $65. How you gonna justify that if you estimate your price by square footage? So that's why I always go by time. I look at the yard, and like I said, this is gonna take your experience because, like I said, everybody was a low baller. If somebody's not a low baller, I'm sorry to say, they don't have as much experience as you. I made a video back in the day. I love low ballers, and that's because I used to be a low baller. I'm not ashamed of it, but I wasn't low balling people on purpose. I was low balling people because I didn't know how to charge properly, how to give proper estimates. And so when I would go up and I would do a yard or estimate a yard, I would undervalue myself. But over time I gained experience, and now I can look at a yard and I can tell how long it's gonna take me to cut. Or it's gonna take me 10 minutes to cut the front, it's gonna take me 15 minutes to cut the back, maybe 20 minutes. That's 30 minutes. Now it's gonna take me 10 minutes to trim, 5 minutes to blow. That's 45 minutes. Now I use my hourly rate that I always use, which my hourly rate is $80 an hour, and I gauge the price. Most of the time I try to stay around $50. I start off at $50 and then I work my way up. You know, if it's a smaller yard, might do 45. If it's a tiny yard, it's 40. That's the cheapest I'm going. I do have 2 yards that's lower than 40, but they're kind of grandfathered in. That's one thing I do. You know, if you've been loyal to me and I'm content with the price, I'll let you stay at that price. You know, 1 yard's like 25. I got, literally takes me less than 20 minutes to cut completely. I don't even have to blow with the with the blower. I'm gonna tell y'all this story. And all right, well, let me finish this with the baby situation. The baby has money, right? So in a lot of people's mind, they think the kid was justified and trying to charge DaBaby $200 for that $68 box of candy. Oh, well, DaBaby got it, so it's okay for me to charge. And that's like how a lot of people feel, and when they get in this neighborhood with this nice house, and oh, what? Well, they got it. I had a yard last year, right? And it was a big, nice house. Probably like $600,000-$700,000 house. Nice house. But the house didn't have any yard. It barely had any yard. It was an average size property, and the house is so big that the yard was small. So for me, a lot of time people will say, well, the house is $700,000. That's automatically a $80, $90 cut minimum. But I'm like, it's no grass. I'm not gonna charge them. You know, this yard had less grass than most of my $50 yards. So I'm not gonna charge them $90 for that. So I charge them $50. I know y'all thought I was gonna say 40 or something. I charge them 50. But the point I'm trying to make is, I didn't upcharge them because of the style house. I charged them according to how long I thought it would take me to cut the yard. Now I say, hey, doesn't have that much grass, but it is going to take me a little time, more time trimming, because it has a lot of edging. You want to make sure it looks nice. And so let's flip it, right? And there's to another situation where you have two houses, and both of these houses are about the same size, have the same amount of grass, but one yard is all weeds and the other yard is manicured grass. Now, in this particular situation, I will charge the person with manicured grass more. And I know you're like, Seth, well, this defeats the purpose. I thought you said it's all about time and blah, 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 blah. It is about time. That yard with weeds is a mow and go. I know y'all heard that term before. I could go over it sideways, that ain't no crisscross, meow, 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 meow. And then I barely got to do any edging or trimming because it's all weeds. I'm probably cutting it at 2.5 inches. So I don't got to do no edging. I just got to make sure that the grass isn't growing over the curb. So I got a yard like that. I cut it in literally 15 minutes. It take me 10 minutes to cut the whole yard. And this is a full-size yard, but it's all weeds. It take me 10 minutes to cut the yard, 5 minutes to trim it. And all I can do is go around the house, and then I don't even gotta blow. Most of the stuff is not even on the street. Sometimes I gotta blow if a lot of grass gets on the street. Most of the time I only gotta blow 15 minutes, 20 minutes at the max. But a nice manicure yard, a nice yard with a lot of grass that you have to manicure. One, I don't want to be ripping and running on this grass, because if I turn too fast, I'll be ripping it up. So I gotta go slow and easy. I have one yard, I gotta cut the backyard with my zero turn, and I cut the front yard with my walk behind. And because I'm taking more effort and more time, I have to charge more. Y'all get what I'm saying? Versus this other yard. So in those situations where the yard is actually the same square footage, that's when you charge more. It's all about time. And that makes sense to me. I don't know if it makes sense to y'all, but it makes sense to me. So let me talk about this other story before I forget. Don't mind me, I got on this sweaty shirt. It's probably 11 o'clock at night. I just finished sharpening blades, man. It's been getting crazy. I only have one pair of blades for my Mustang all year, and I'm wearing those out because I've been sharpening them once a week, and now I've gotten to the point where I've been pushing it, and I think I gotta thinking about sharpening my blades twice a week. So what I did is I'm gonna order some blades on Amazon, some more blades, so I can sharpen those and rotate them in. So halfway through my week, I can just swap them out, boom. Because, you know, starting on Tuesday, when I start cutting, I cut Tuesday through Friday. When it's Tuesday, the blades is nice and sharp, cut. But then I got some yards on Thursday and Friday where I'm kind of struggling. You know, I'm kind of double cutting, and I'm like, man, you know, I wish my blades were sharp like they were on Tuesday. So that's what I'm doing now. I have no idea how I got on that topic, but I had a particular situation, right? And I told this story in another video where this guy, he was an investor. He just recently bought a house. The house was trashed. He said, he even told me he thinks some squatters have been living in the house. When I went to estimate it, it was literally a Dodge Charger parked in the back. Like, it wasn't like a homeless squatter living in the house. It was like a literal, like a person that had a car, probably a job, and he was just like living in the house. So I looked at all this work he needed me done. It was a tree, like it was a tree laying down on the side of the house, full size tree, like 60-70 foot tree. You know, big trunk. Wanted me to cut that up. Overgrown bushes in the front of the house. You couldn't even see the windows. They was up to the roof. Grass was overgrown on like a retaining wall and everything. I quoted him like $1,500. And he was appalled. He was like, $1,500? And so we went back and forth in the email, and I'm explaining to him why I quoted him this, and of course my quotes are itemized. Like, I'm charging them this much to cut up that tree, this much to haul away the tree, this much to hedge those bushes, this much to cut the grass, and blah blah blah. So he knows exactly where everything is. But the reason why he was so upset, it wasn't because of, he was upset because he felt I shouldn't be charging him that much because it was a bad area. For lack of better words, it was the hood. And you know, it wasn't, there's more hooder parts than Richmond, but it was the hood. I mean, my family lived in more hooder parts than that, but to him, it was the hood. So he's like, he literally said this, like, we have nicer areas, a nice area called Shore Pump. He said, well, you know, why are you charging so much? It's not like a short pump. And I'm thinking, like, not like a short pump? Would you think because it was a short pump, I would be charging people more? I would be charging them the same thing. If they had a tree laying down in their yard, if they had trees up to here, or bushes that had the hedge, if they had overgrown grass, I would charge them an exact same thing, no matter where their house at. I don't feel that that's morally correct. Like, I'm not gonna go into a nice neighborhood and charge people more than I charge other people. I charge them accordingly to how long I think it's gonna take me. I've been working in this nice neighborhood where I cut this yard, this big yard. It takes me like 2 hours to cut, and and it's far from my house. The only reason I accepted it is the anticipation of me getting other yards in this neighborhood. Which so far I have gotten 2 other yards other than that one I cut, And so where they get me to do kind of periodical things like mulch and stuff like that. That's another thing. Even though you might hate mulch, I hate mulch. I take on mulch in particular neighborhoods because I know it can lead to other things. This is a nice neighborhood. So I got one house that I'm doing full service, cutting, hedging, bushes, everything. 2 yards I'm kind of doing mulch and other periodical things. And now this yard, he asked me, he just want me to literally edge his front yard. He saw me cutting this other yard. That's why I love this house on the corner, right? Because it's on the corner at the beginning of this neighborhood, and everybody got to drive by it. So if I'm in here killing this yard, I know everybody's seeing it. Know everybody's seeing it. And so that, I done got aeration job from his neighbor. I done got these other 2 periodical yards. And now I got this yard. He done seen me edging on it. This yard was way overgrown. There wasn't nothing I could do that day. I made it look decent, but it was still overgrown. And so he want me to come back and edge it once a month. And I know you're like, Seth, that's not even worth it. But guess what? It's weird because he got nice manicured grass in the front, and then he got crappy grass in the back. He like basically treat the front. I can see myself in the future maybe. First I'm just edging his front yard. Then he's like, you know what? I'm just gonna let you cut it. Cause I don't know if he cuts his own front yard. Maybe he does, maybe he doesn't. But it's nice and thick. I'm gonna let you cut it, see what you can do. I said, okay. And I go in there and start cutting it and edging it. Then next thing you know, he said, hey, how much would you charge for you to cut my backyard? You know, my backyard is crappy. I want you to get that looking nice. And now he got me in there and I'm cutting his whole yard. You gotta think about that, you know, step by step. And so, long story short, he just want me to edge his front yard. Normally I would charge people $15 to edge their yard. Not edge it, what I mean is trim it. Say somebody, like I got this lady, other lady, she cuts her own grass, but she just gets me to trim it. So I charge her $15, and coincidentally she's right there with other people that I cut. It's 4 other yards. Now she's gonna be the 5th customer on the same street. So it works out like that. Charge her $15. While I'm edging these other ones, I walk over, edge her, then I blow all the rest of the yards, and I blow her yard. So it works out like that. This guy, he lives on a corner, so it's long, it goes down far. I charge him $30. And this first time I did it, it was way overgrown. So I had to charge him an extra overgrown fee, which was $20. So basically I charged him $50 to edge his front yard. Just from like literally, you know, from the corner of his property all the way down the front of his house. Feet, it's probably, all right, so like from the, it's big. I know y'all thinking like, oh my gosh. From property line to the corner of the street, 50 yards. From that corner to the driveway, another 50 yards. So that's a football field. It's pretty long. You get what I'm saying? And that's just that. Then I gotta edge up the side, up the driveway, and then around the sidewalk. One side of the sidewalk. So it's a decent amount of length, and you know, I only charge them $30. I could have said, oh, you fancy, huh? You know, you live in this nice neighborhood. I'm charging you $50 automatically. You get what I'm saying? But I didn't do that. He actually came out and he said, hey, if I told him it will be about 30, and I was thinking like I need to charge him more because this thing's overgrown. I had to go over it like back and forth like 4 times just to get it kind of even, an even edge. And when he came out, he was like, yeah, I know it's overgrown, so if you want to charge me more, I understand. And I was like, yeah. This will be a $20 charge. He was like, yeah, that's fine, but I said it'll be $30 from here on out. So I come and cut a yard twice a month in his neighborhood, and I'll cut his. All I gotta do is edge his yard once a month. And every time I edge it, it's gonna get deeper and better, so it's gonna be easier and easier. So that $30 is gonna get quicker and quicker. But I don't know if this was beneficial to y'all, but hopefully it was. Long story short, just because somebody has money, just because somebody has a nice house, doesn't mean you charge them more than another person. That's messed up. Now you can do what you want. I wouldn't do it. Not something I would do. But God dang it, flies in here. Jeez Louise. Anywho, thanks for watching. Comment, subscribe, stay tuned. Yes, sir?